Hey folks, welcome to Konveyor community meeting. Today is July 11th. We abide by Konveyor code of conduct, which means be nice to one another. It's linked at the top of the agenda, which I will be pasting in a second. Um, when you have a minute, please add yourself to the agenda in the list of attendees. I am Savita. I'm going to be your host today. I'm going to pause for a second if anyone wants to say hi to the group before starting this meeting.
Hello.
Hey, Dylan. All right. Okay, so we have a few topics, um, all from Dylan. So I'm going to hand it over to Dylan. Um, Whenever he's ready, please take it away.
Sure. Let me share my screen
Thank you.
if it cooperates. um. Okay. So, sorry, my computer's kind of slow. You can see this, hopefully.
Yeah, I can see it.
Fantastic. All right. So the first thing is, I'm proposing that we delay the GA date by a week, just because we are exactly 1 week behind on when we had planned to cut the first beta. So this would move the GA date to the 25th of July. I'm just going to quickly ask if there's any objections or concerns about that. And if there's not, I'm happy to go submit a PR to change the date on the community repo. Any maybe thumbs up, thumbs down? And silence, I'll say thumbs up. Thank you, David. All right, great. So just as an update, we did release the beta 1 release yesterday. I linked the Operator Hub release as well as the link to Contra's download. We are now kind of in a full sprint for testing at this point. And I can go over in a minute in the open discussion kind of what we're looking to do with testing focus for 0.5. My plan right now, and I'm looking for feedback and guidance on this as well. It sounded like even as soon as we got the beta 1, there was a couple things that I know folks were merging in fixes after the release was cut. So I will probably just cut another one tomorrow, considering the great news is that like the release pipeline works entirely. Like we've ironed out all the bugs in it, so I can cut releases at will at this point. And the CI system is finally resolved. So I feel very confident that we can just cut beta 2, beta 3, beta 4 completely on demand. So for now, I think I'm going to watch what goes in today. Maybe I'll cut one this evening, or I'll just wait and cut something tomorrow before the weekend. Any questions on 0.5 GA date or the beta 1 release and where to get it, what to do with it? Okay. I put this here just because I thought it kind of fell under roadmap, but it's kind of all ties together at some point. On the enhancement side, I just wanted to again call out that we are in a call for enhancements for 0.6. There are 2 open enhancements that I know that folks are kind of busy right now, but I would love to get some more eyes and review, and that also falls on me. I've been asked to review these, and I haven't done it myself, so I'm not blaming anyone. Sam has a PR up for platform awareness, which I saw Ramon had posted some feedback on already. Looking for more eyes there, and Sean has submitted an enhancement about kind of overhauling how we deal with authentication or authorization. You called it something slightly different. Sorry, I don't want to. Generic authentication and authorization. So please just, if you get some free minutes, try to spend an hour each week just looking at the enhancement repository and helping us review. I'm not prepared at this point in time to set the 0.6 release plan yet, just because I've been so all in on 0.5. But I think by 2 weeks from now, we should be in a good spot to at least define what the 0.6 roadmap should look like tentatively. So any questions on 0.6 or those enhancements?
I just wanted to say that I have filed a couple of RFEs I guess if they look interesting, we should think about fleshing them out in full-fledged enhancements at some point.
That would be great. In fact, Roman, why don't we do this next week during the planning call? Since I think just based on where we'll stand with 05, maybe we could run through the RFE list and kind of look at like what a nice wish list would be for 06 based on the RFE list.
Okay.
Let's see, that would be the 18th.
For those that who are interested, paste in the links here if you want to take a preliminary look at it.
That'd be great. In fact, I would like to just link those here too. Thanks, Ramon.
Welcome.
Any other questions or comments on 06 or the enhancements? All right. Sorry, Smith. It's okay if I just keep chugging along. I don't see anything else here, so I kind of hijacked everything. Assuming, yeah. Let's see. So open discussion. I just wanted to. I know we've had a lot of conversation about this on and off, but since we're in the community call, I think it'd be good to kind of sum this up for the larger community. What I am looking to focus on for testing of 05, and then I'm also like hoping I get some feedback on other areas that folks would like us to focus on for testing. So I think at this point in time, the whole team is really, we're going to be taking the beta release and we're going to stress test it, really just hammer it with a bunch of applications and focus on really two things I think that went, even though they're not necessarily new, discovery is new, but analysis, I think it's really just a hardening cycle of making sure that we're doing the right testing for analysis. So on the discovery side, right, this is really a new feature for 05. When you go and create applications inside of Konveyor, we're going to run some automatic discovery tasks. These discovery tasks are basically going to determine which language provider that we want to use when we're running analysis. So there's kind of two focus points here. In fact, I didn't write this other part down. The task manager. The task manager is another feature in 05 that was really used for discovery. So now when I go and import all these applications, I now have a way to view what's happening behind the scenes for discovery to complete. So when I'm asking you to test discovery, I'm looking not only to focus on what discovery is doing, which in this case would be setting tags on the application, which helps us determine which providers to use in analysis time, but also seeing if you can break the task manager. So, importing 50 applications at once should execute a ton of discovery tasks. That's kind of a focus and performance and scale part that we already have folks on the team looking into. But I'm looking for testing on that side of it. I'm also interested in trying to break this with languages that we don't have providers for. So up to this point, I've really only tested it with Java. The generic provider should be able to handle other languages such as Go, Python, TypeScript, Node.js. We have no rules for them, but if you could write a custom rule and run analysis on other languages, I just want to see what happens. Let's make sure that discovery is actually setting the appropriate tags for it. And if it's not, we'll follow bugs around it. Any other comments on like focus points for testing discovery that maybe I'm missing or that's interesting? Okay. Then really, this is my primary focus point for testing 05, and I think I've made it pretty clear that this should be the focus point of the whole team. When you compare, Konveyor 03 and 04 analysis results with where we currently stand with Konveyor 05, we're making significant improvements. But in the past like month and a half, I think we've realized that some of our testing, we were missing kind of like proper testing of what the analysis results should look like. So the focus that I think should be a priority number one for really everything else that you're doing with 05 testing is I'm asking everyone to really dig into the rules that get executed, right? So when you run analysis, look at the incidents and the affected files, click on them, see if they make sense to you, right? So the rules are pretty easy to read if you go and find the rule that was actually executed from the rule sets repository. If you don't understand why the rule is firing, then I think at a point of caution at this point, we should open issues and just kind of have discussion on those issues about whether or not the rules are being appropriately fired or not, or matched, I guess, sorry. That's the first focus point. The second focus point is change up the way that you run analysis. So I'm guilty of this. I run the same application with the same source and dependency mode with the exact same targets every single time. That's great, but like there's only so many rules in those targets, and we're not really testing all of the capabilities of the analysis engine if we're running the same rules over and over again. So you don't even necessarily pick targets that make sense, quite frankly. If you pick targets that don't make sense, they still shouldn't get matched, and it's a really good way to find if we're catching false positives in the analysis results. Binary mode. Okay, another thing is binary mode, right? So if you think about from Konveyor, well, the old versions of Tackle versus the modern version of Konveyor, right? The Tackle used to use a tool called Windup. Windup handled binary decompilation a little bit differently than how the analysis engine today handles binary decompilation. So we're really trying to figure out kind of where we stand in terms of producing good results out of binary decompilation. It's just fundamentally a different mechanism. I think we need to do more testing on the binary side. There's also the fact that, we've talked about this, I think, in a different community meeting. The user experience for binary analysis is very Java-centric today. Making sure that we have all of the issues appropriately captured for how we need to change this moving forward in a world where we support more language providers. That's kind of a testing focus point of mine as well. Hopefully, I think that kind of captures like where my focus priorities are for testing of 0.5. If there's other things that you all would like to call out based on features you've contributed to, I think now is a good time to do so. But I am asking the entire community at this point to kind of put everything else on pause, even some bug fixing. Let's all put together some extensive testing on the beta release. We didn't really do that on the alpha side. So this is kind of a call to arms, if you will. And thank you. Yeah, Ramon, good.
One question about the beta. Have we packaged any .NET rules already in there?
One .NET rule. Is that correct, David?
That is still correct.
Okay.
Could you actually, David, would you mind, because I think we've synced on this, could you just provide a brief update where we stand with taking that rules spreadsheet that we got from IBM and what you're doing with it?
Yeah, so I reached out to the only person that I know that knows .NET better than I do, which I know nothing, to get a little help understanding the difference between the different, like the relationship between the different columns. Like if you were to look at the spreadsheet, there's a assembly name or a header assembly name, and there's a reference to the different target types and target members. It's hard to know which of those we're actually looking for in the source code. So I have a script that will turn it into a rule set, but it's not clear that I'm looking for the right thing.
Okay.
So that's what I'm trying to get help on before I submit a PR.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, I've been waiting. I think it's been just over a day now since I asked someone about that. So I was going to actually, now's a good time to ask. I was going to reach out on the original GitHub issue to see if, who was it? John Buckley was the one that had submitted it originally, to see if it would be possible to get him to reply to a direct.
Yeah, we can try.
Yeah. So I was going to give that a shot today. Otherwise, I'll just submit the PR and I'll just include the script that generates the rule set from it in the PR, so that if we need to change the logic, we can do that.
Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, David. I think that kind of covers everything that I wanted to cover. Thank you for linking this. I also include that link up here as well with the Contra release link. So, I mean, this goes without saying. Maybe it doesn't go without saying. Please also test the CLI. I mean, everyone likes to test the operator. Please also test the CLI. In fact, if you're doing .NET, that's the only way to really even get the you can't test .NET in the operator flow, so please use the CLI to do that. And then in general, if you're running analysis of an application, also run on the CLI. Make sure they match. Make sure there's nothing different. Make sure you're catching bugs that may be presented from the target list that gets surfaced. All that kind of good stuff. So that's it for me, unless there's questions. Okay, I will turn it over to Jason.
Yeah, I just wanted to raise some awareness about this issue. We updated the CRDs to V1 Alpha 2 version, and right now when you do an upgrade, QE caught that you get this really nasty looking error message in the UI, basically stating that the analyzer CRD couldn't be validated. And if you look on the install plan, it says that it failed to update the CRD to the new version. As far as we can tell, the CRD, or as far as I can tell, I think Sean looked yesterday as well. As far as we could tell, the CRD was actually updated, and then the operator goes ahead and updates the CR for the analyzer add-on. But this error message never goes away. We're also seeing that, so Sean, you could probably speak more to it, but my understanding is we're only supposed to see one stored version of the CRD, and we're seeing two once the CRD is updated. So I'm not sure how big of a problem this is. It doesn't prevent updating to 7.1. I really have no idea what to do about it. Like I said, I just wanted to raise some awareness that we have this right now with upgrades.
Thanks, Nisha. Does anyone have any questions for Jason? And thank you, Dylan, for the update on the release. It's so nice to see all the release-related updates in the community call every other week. Appreciate it. Okay, we have reached the end of the agenda. And I do see a question from David on the chat. So I'm just going to read it out. I'm not sure if that was answered or not, but I'm just going to read it out and see if anyone can pick that up. David says that it'd be nice to have a link back to the rule that fired for a specific incident, or not having to go dig through the rule sets report to find the specific rule ID. And is there any other better way to do that? Okay, I see Ramon's hand.
Yeah, this is something we've discussed, something about providing further feedback about not only the rule that fired and why it fired, but the rule definition itself, to see if there's something fishy about it being triggered. We gotta figure out and discuss the UI UX implications of that and the seeding and so on and so forth, because pointing to the repository might not be the best user experience we were thinking about. And an in UI way of browsing the rules that have been packaged or are being shipped with a certain conveyor distribution. But I guess we still need to figure that out. But yeah, this is something that has come up in previous conversations, precisely because of all these problems that we've experienced with false positives and the hassle of having to go to the repository manually, look for the rule, and so on and so forth. And Dylan, correct me if I'm wrong here.
No, I think you're exactly right. Because the concern about linking back to that's just gonna be a mess considering the rules are actually within the container images themselves that we're producing. There's no guarantee you're actually linking to the same rule if you go up to the web somewhere. So I personally would prioritize something like that for 06. I think it'd vastly enhance the experience for us digging through the false positives of the analysis results. And it also ties in, I think, pretty nicely with one of your RFEs, Ramon, that you filed, which would be, I mean, it's not the exact same thing, but just the idea of dismissing issues. So like being able to go look at rules, really get a good in-depth sense of whether or not the rule is either being appropriately fired or inappropriately fired, and then dismissing them, right? If you want to. So I think there's a good cohesive story to kind of sell there.
Yeah, absolutely.
I also think in the future, definitely not like a 06 thing, but it would be cool to have some sort, like if we ever had telemetry or something like that, to like if rules are being dismissed, to know which rules are being dismissed so that we could like look at them, so that when when a lot of people are using it and they're all dismissing the same rule, because then it's pretty clear that there's something for us to look at.
Absolutely. I see a chat question about static report UI. Here we go. If you either have issues to file around it or would like to submit changes to it, we would absolutely love that. There is this repository that gets used. So the static report is used from Contra, and it's also used if you choose to download the report from the UI. So ask kind of what you're looking to modify with it, if you know.
Can you please come again with the counter thing that you were saying?
Yeah, I'm just curious what changes you're interested in making, or if there's something you'd help.
Actually, we are trying to look for some enhancement from our end, and not any issues or something. We are looking to enhance the static report UI only. So I just wanted to know like how can I modify the static report UI if I want to do so.
Got it. Yeah, so this is the repository for it. And then you essentially would build the container. And when you execute Contra, you can override which image to use when generating the static report. If you have questions or concerns doing that, happy to help you out in Slack.
Okay, thank you so much.
Anubhav, one question here. Are you looking to have a custom version of the static report, or is it that you will be interested in enhancing, the features and contributing back to the community? What would be the user experience? What is it that you are looking for with this?
Actually, enhancing the, or maybe if required, then
Okay.
customize.
Got it.
Hello everyone. I have a question regarding this .NET integration. So actually, I tried to integrate this .NET, followed the documentation available in the repo. So this .NET provider is coming with LSP and the OmniSharp language server, which is being utilized for .NET, right? So we need to run them as separate container images, right? So my question is, the latest release which we are releasing, right? So is it coming along with the OmniSharp, or we need to run it as separately as a different containers?
The .NET provider image has OmniSharp contained in it. So when it starts and has access to the OmniSharp inside. So you don't have to start it separately.
Okay.
It just has to run. The external provider runs separately from the analyzer itself. But the mechanism that we're pursuing in this release is to execute it via Contra.
Okay.
And on a Windows host, it should, well, in both cases, it should start the provider and the analyzer for you.
Okay. So is there any documentation can I go through for this contra and how it is being done? It really helpful for me.
It's probably missing specific documentation for the Windows type analysis, but if you go to the contra, I'll get a link. There's documentation here about how to run contra in general.
David, could we get a specific .NET one, just like as an example for like what you've done for Nerd Dinner with when you demoed in the community call 2 weeks ago? Could we just write that down here? I think you could even just take this exact thing, copy it, relabel it .NET example, and just specify which, that one example you did with the one custom rule and Nerd Dinner, just so that we could reference this to people who are looking to use .NET specifically.
Yep.
Great.
Well,
and Sharon,
just remember that there's the .NET case that should be the same as the example that's there. That's where it's like if it's .NET Core or newer, where everything can be run on a Linux host. The special case would be where you're trying to analyze a .NET Framework application that can only be done on a Windows host.
That's exactly what we need to document.
Yeah.
That's kind of the stuff that needs to be perfectly clear, I guess.
Yeah, I'm working on fixing some of the error messaging to make it clear when your environment is not set up to run it correctly for .NET Framework analysis. And so I'll work on this documentation with that.
Cool.
That'd be great. Thank you. And Sharon, in the meantime, if you have questions or you run into issues, we'd love to hear your feedback on it, either in Slack or filing issues in Contra.
I should. I will post there in the Slack.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. We have reached the end of the agenda. I'm just gonna pause for 1 more minute to see if we have any new questions, anything that we want to share with the wider group here.
I'll just give we're on thank you section. I'll give a thank you to everyone for everyone's help getting us back into a good spot with the beta release, because it's been a fun week and a half, 2 weeks, and everyone that chipped in, just a big thanks. It's been I'm really happy with where we currently stand. I'm way less stressed out. So
Thank you. Hi, folks. So if you have any questions, anything that you want to discuss, you can always send a message in the Slack or via the email, a mailing list, or just create an issue in one of the repos. And we have the planning call next Thursday, and we do have office hours for Analyzer next Thursday, 11:30. If you have any questions about the .NET Analyzer stuff, or anything that you want to discuss about Analyzer, that would be a good call to bring up your issues and talk about it. I will see you all in 2 weeks.
thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.